Hello Vikings and fellow riders. Warm welcome to this live where I am still answering questions from the workshop we had last week. I did an attempt on the last live and I got through quite a few questions, but not all of them. And I would feel so bad if you joined our workshops and everything and you didn't get your question answered. Although I answered quite a few questions during the workshop as well. But I love these questions because it is about, finding different ways of solving stuff that we actually make progress both with horses and our lives. It's not so much about finding the reason why. Yes, so just keep that in mind while we are going through this because I also noticed, with many of the questions, there was a whole long story of the reason why the horse was spooking or why the horse was bucking or why the horse didn't want to leave the stable. But it doesn't, knowing why doesn't always, solve the problem. It is a good way of positioning our blame in a way, like if this hadn't happened then my horse wouldn't be like this today. But once we have tools to solve stuff, we can actually focus on solving them instead of figuring out why. Yes. Okay, let's dig into this. And the biggest topic this evening is how to prevent ligament damages and physical issues in horses. Because I have noticed that very many horses these days, they are having pain and they have troubles in their necks and they have troubles in their backs and they have kissing spines and they have ligament issues and all sorts of stuff that horses who are living in a herd will not experience. They will not have back pain and neck pain and kissing spine and ligament issues. They might have injuries, but not these kinds of issues I'm talking about here. And although I'm not a veterinarian by no means, but I have taken on quite a few rescues over the years with all of these problems. And they have, solved these problems have solved themselves from giving them certain amount of just time off to just be horses and be in a herd and be themselves and move freely. And the second thing is that I have another way of training horses than the people who trained the horses who got into trouble with them had, if you know what I mean. And I think this is mainly because we as humans are a little bit, we are tactile beings, right? And we like to control stuff. But horses, they are flight animals who like the freedom of choice. So, although we as humans, with our best intentions in mind, go in and we want to kind of make a posture happen or change a posture or make the circle straight and make the horse straight, we are doing so much stuff that actually makes the horse not feel comfortable, which again will make the horse drop their back, stiffen their neck a bit, and start being a bit on their front part, although our intention is the exact opposite. So at least what I have found is the best way to train horses is to allow them to move freely, and rather than focusing on making them look to the inside of the circle or making them go into the corner or making them straight, we can make them comfortable doing what they are doing in the moment. And in this way, their bodies will take a functional posture from self with a functional top line and hind leg engagement. But we don't get there by making the horse go into this posture. And I think that's why so many horse owners, they are, they have like a, um, what's it called? You get this card, like a discount card almost by the veterinarian, because they get into ligament issues with their horse, maybe in the front feet, maybe in the hind feet, doesn't really matter. Usually it's in the front feet, and they go to the vet, and the vet is injecting the horse and giving the horse 8 weeks off or whatever. And then the horse is back into the training that caused the ligament issues to begin with. And, another 8 weeks later, you have the same, you know, vicious circle going over and over again, because it's actually a training issue. It's not a horse issue. It's not because the horse was born with kissing spines or with bad feet. It is the way the majority of people today train their horses. Because we are, after all, humans. Yeah. Yes, humans interfere with the horse's movement and biomechanics. Right, yes, we do. And we don't do it because we're mean. We want to help the horse, but we do way too much. And it's so much easier to get these, like when we are lunging the horse, if we are able to, get our horse's attention and the horse wanting to come inwards when we step backwards, we can, by using our body posture and our foot movements, facilitate very nice circles around us. But if we are trying to pull the horse away from the magnetic gate or chew them into the scary part of the arena, they feel uncomfortable, like we're controlling them. And this beautiful posture, which horses can have from self, is gone. And that's when we might start with the side reins and all that stuff. But that's kind of my best tip, because I've done this so many times now, and I've taken in horses with physical issues or mental issues and whatever, and they have all fixed themselves by doing this. Yes. So that's my go-to answer here, although I'm not a veterinarian. And I also get a whole lot of comments on, like, check if the horse is in pain, and have you ruled out pain, and have you called the vet? And it's always like calling the vet and ruling out pain. I think, first of all, we can't really rule out pain. And second of all, maybe we, instead of trying to find these physical issues with our horse, or the reasons in the horse's past for why the horse is acting the way it is, we rather start changing what we're doing now, because horses, they can change very, very quickly. Change can happen in 20 minutes or half an hour. A horse can completely change. But building a new habit and a new pattern takes longer. So if we focus less on the past and less on pain and reasons and physical issues, and more on solving it, we can do more in half an hour than with like a 6 months training program and regularly getting a vet or a chiro to fix our horse. Yes. Okay, I hope this helps. And the second questions were a little bit about saddling issues and issues when handling horses and trailer loading and stuff like that. And first of all, very many horses might have, had a saddle who isn't fitting, or maybe they have even had ulcers, and something that has made them uncomfortable with the saddling process and the girthing. And although we have eliminated the physical reasons why, the horse might still, do the behavior. So my best tip for fixing a saddling issue and bridling issue is to do it at liberty, by giving the horse choices. And this gives the horse a voice, and you will also give the horse a possibility to express themselves that they don't have when they are tied up. So you can make saddling the horse your ID, and not just tie them up and make them stand still and put the saddle on. So it has benefited me and also very many other members. So I would rather use then liberty and choices to solve this than to use tying up the horse in various ways, which will solve it there and then, but it's not going to change how the horse actually feels. Yes, and I also think that with handling and trailer loading and all this stuff, if we can just start a little bit at the start by building a connection with the horse and do, handling and trailer loading and stuff like that later. And if we also build some tools on the ground so that we can move, the horse's shoulder off pointing, and we can move their hind end over, and our leading is good so that the horse knows how to step forwards when the slack goes out of the lead rope, right? Stuff like that. We have some tools, and we then try to trailer load. That trailer loading is going to be a whole lot different than if we don't have any tools other than trying to push or drag the horse into the trailer to get the horse into the trailer, right? So, create these tools even though you don't need them, because you might need them one day. So I would not teach a horse the tools the horse need to trailer load while trailer loading the horse. I would first teach the tools and then use them when trailer loading. Or if I have a horse who is anxious when led somewhere, or anxious in unfamiliar places, I wouldn't start teaching the horse the tools I need to get calmness and relaxation and the horse paying attention to me. I wouldn't start doing it there and then when I need them. You have to do them when you don't need them so that you can use them when you need them. Okay, and Jane is wondering something here. Just wondering, can a horse be retrained by a beginner riding using your methods? Yes, and beginners have gotten better success than professional trainers with many of these horses. Because I think professional trainers, I've been a professional horse trainer myself, we have a time schedule, right? You have these 10 horses that needs to be ridden. So, and some horses, especially in the initial training and when, changing them, we might need to spend more time just hanging out with them and build the bond first and then do the training later. While a trainer will start with the training first and might not have the time to build that bond with the horse. And I also know that horses, they prefer being trained by by their owners and not someone else. So and the horse taking off at every opportunity with the beginner. With this program, we make our ID, the horse's ID, by giving choices and not by controlling them, which is a whole lot easier. But like if the horse has a problem of taking off, once you've done all the groundwork and you have done the riding signals, you can use that groundwork and those riding signals to help your horse be self-controlling on a loose rein, right? So instead of preventing the horse from taking off, you have tools so that you can teach your horse self-control. And the same if you have a horse who lags forward. Instead of needing to make the horse go forwards all the time, you have tools so that you can make your horse forward from self. Yes, so this is in many ways a whole lot easier to do than regular riding, because regular riding very often involves controlling the horse and making them do stuff, which is quite hard. And you will need to be quite advanced rider to, be able to ride your horse straight in a certain posture. But you don't need to be an advanced rider to make your ID of going somewhere the horse's ID. And when the horse wants to go somewhere, they are straight, right? So very many horses, they are a little bit wiggly when riding away from the stable. Just enough so that a professional rider would be able to ride the horse off and make the horse look straight. But this wiggling and zigzagging they do away from the stable, they usually don't do when they come homewards. When they go homewards, they are straight as an arrow. So if we then can get rid of the stable magnet and make the horse want to go on trails, the horse will be straight as an arrow away from the stable, just as they are homewards. So all horses are able to be straight. Yes. Yes, it sounds a bit scary, but that reminds me of one of the other questions, which was like the safety concerns regarding this method. And I would say your best safety equipment when riding a horse is teaching your horse the bend to stop. Like if I was given the choice to ride a horse who doesn't know the bend to stop without with helmet, or riding a horse who knows the bend to stop without, I would definitely choose riding the horse who knows the bend to stop without a helmet than riding a horse who doesn't know it with. So I think a helmet is, of course, very, very advisable to use when riding, and maybe even a security vest. But it's not what's keeping us safe. It is how the horse responds to our riding signals that keeps us safe. And we can't make a horse stop by pulling on two reins. They can go against two reins, but we can teach them to stop off one rein, so that we have this opportunity if the horse bucks or bolts or something. And especially when teaching the bend to stop, we put great emphasis on the horse being soft in the body and crossing over behind. And horses can't buck and they can't bolt and they can't rear when crossing over behind. So we can build another pattern of movement. So it makes riding and handling horses a whole lot safer. Yes. And once we have, connected with them and they start paying attention to us and also respect our personal space, handling also becomes much, much safer. Like some horse owners and riders, they get, ran down by their horses. And it kind of happens suddenly, like, oh, all of a sudden the horse ran somebody, the handler, down. But it doesn't happen suddenly, it happens over time. So once we are able to spot the body posture of a horse running us down, we are able to spot it and fix it before it happens. So usually a horse who's running somebody down will, come with the shoulder first and kind of run them down. And we can fix this shoulder at a distance. And also if a horse, runs off when we are leading them, they will usually look away and then continue in that direction and then put their shoulder towards us and then the hind towards us. But if we can build another pattern of the horse looking towards us and turning the hind end away from us, then it's much, much safer to handle the horse than if we haven't taught the horse this and we rely on controlling the horse. Yeah, so this works both on the ground and when riding. And the key exercise is the horses finding their own stop by crossing over behind and softening their bodies. And we don't teach that by stopping with two reins, and we don't teach that by controlling them. But we build the same pattern on the ground as when riding. So it's very easy, even for beginners, to get this right because we have done it on the ground first, and the horse knows it, and we know it, and then it becomes very, very easy to do it when riding. Yes, and this is something I definitely make sure to teach my kids and also the horses my kids are riding. So both the rider needs to know this and also the horse for this to work. Like again, with the trailer loading, you can't create an emergency stop tool when you need it. You have to create it before you need it. Yes. But horses, they enjoy being ridden and they also enjoy being handled by us when they are not controlled all the time, but through this connection, which I know beginners probably are much better at doing than professional horse trainers, to be honest. Yes, so we have many, many examples of horses professional trainers have given up on that beginners succeed with by doing this program. Yeah, I think there were a couple of other questions that I marked out that I haven't talked about yet. It was, do you have any suggestions for working with very young horses to build connection and relationship? And she was talking then about a 6-month-old horse. That's like a foal. And I don't train foals, but I make sure I am able to halter them and that I'm able to lead them inside the stable or inside the paddock, and that I'm able to pick up their feet and trim their hooves, and that I'm able to deworm them. But other than that, I'm not really doing exercises with foals. But I know from handling many, many foals over the years that foals, they learn very, very fast and they suck everything in like sponges. So they can change very rapidly. So if we have like a very shy foal, we can make that horse braver towards humans by allowing them to be curious and allowing them to coming into our space and such, you know. But once we have done this a couple of times, suddenly the foal is pushy and, you know, trying to jump on us. And although that's very cute when the foal is doing it, you can't really have big horses doing the same because then it's dangerous. So that's when you may take the exactly same foal who was shy 2 days ago and, you know, teach them about personal space and ask them to move out of our space. And this is not offending them. It's something horses do with each other all the time. So in addition to teaching them like the basics, I'm just mindful when handling them because they're always learning something. So pushy foal, I would, you know, ask to move off, and a shy and timid foal, I would build confidence with. But it can easily, you know, change from one day to the next. Yes. So I hope this helps. But if you have a 6-month foal, I would probably not join this program. You could definitely benefit from the foal videos that we have, but the program in general is suited for either training a young horse from scratch or when retraining your own horses or horses you have gotten from others or horses you have problems with. But we have a video series on how to handle foals, but I'm not training them until they are at least like 1 year old. Yeah, but they learn from the handling and they also learn from the routines. But I'm also not having any, I don't have any kind of like foal routines. I think they learn the most from being, you know, in the herd with other horses. And then you will also notice that, you know, once the foals are yearlings and sexually mature, the other horses will start training them as well and teaching them about personal space and how to move off and stuff like that. But until then, the foal usually has the status of the mother. So when the mother is eating, the foal will be by their side and have the same ranking in the herd as she has. Okay, I hope this helps, but I definitely think that if we do a little bit and get it right, that is a very, very good way of handling and training foals. But if we do a lot and get it wrong, we can make that horse, you know, very difficult to train later. Yep. And stuff that's kind of cute when a foal is doing it might not be so cute when an adult is doing it. Like if a foal is jumping on you, or if you're lying down with the foal on top of you, stuff that you just imagine the horse being 10 times bigger and doing the same thing, then that's not cute anymore. And we are actually doing them a disfavor by treating them like cute teddy bears. Yeah, because they grow up quickly, and yeah, like horses can sometimes become a bit pushy about scratches, like butt scratches. So if a foal is switching the tail and kicking a little bit and turning the hind towards us to get butt scratches, that's very cute. But if a 1,000-pound horse is doing it, that's lethal, actually. So be mindful of what you are teaching them. Yes, but we don't have a foal program, except for the foal videos we have made, which will teach you how to halter the foal, lead the foal, pick up the feet, trim the hooves, and give dewormer. Yeah, basically what's needed to do. Okay, let's see. And here is someone who has a mare who is lovely, but is difficult to catch. And then I definitely recommend doing what I call hooking on, which is a bit like liberty lunging, because then you can communicate with your horse by stepping forwards and backwards and draw your horse towards you. But the most common mistake we do with horses who are difficult to catch is that when they are standing still, we try to catch them. And when they run off, we kind of give up. But you need to kind of maybe do a little bit the opposite. But before you try doing it, teach your horse this in a round pen or a paddock so that your horse kind of learns to catch you. Yes, that is going to hugely benefit horses like that. But maybe the reason for her being difficult to catch could have something to do with it as well. And then you can do like the initial connection exercise in different ways to solve it. Yeah, if that answers your question. Okay, there's a 2-year-old filly pushing into me, trying to teach her to move away from pressure. I don't recommend trying to teach a pushy filly that's 2-year-old to move away of pressure. Because when horses are pushy, and if we try to push them out of our space, they can become even more pushy because horses are stronger than us, right? So if your 2-year-old filly is pushy in your space, what you first and foremost need is your horse relaxing outside your personal space, and preferably without making a huge conflict with the horse. And that's when I recommend the connection exercise, which will teach you and your horse this. And that's a really good starting place for claiming personal space, because it's much easier to claim personal space and ask a horse to go somewhere they are comfortable than to ask them to go away from somewhere they are comfortable, and especially with trying to push them physically out of our space. That's almost impossible. But once they are on a distance 2 or 3 meters away from us, it's much easier to send the horse off, or you can do a whole lot more at the distance. So that's maybe the last safety like lesson for this day is it's not safer to be close to the horse. It's actually safer to have them at a distance away from us, both when leading and when communicating with them. But it doesn't mean that we have to have our horses at the 2 meters distance all the time. But we can solve problems that happens in our space outside our space, because the horse will be this, the emotional state of the horse we can change also at a distance, and this will carry on with them when they are closer to us, if that makes sense. Okay. I hope this helps, and I hope yeah, there's one more thing I didn't answer. It was about the separation anxiety. Let's see my papers here. There was someone who had 2 horses, and the other horse always became anxious when she went away with the other. And it wasn't a huge problem yet, but I would not recommend this as a solution to solving separation anxiety, because this will build a habit of the horse becoming anxious when alone. So actually the best way to solve this is that you need to not make the other horse the reason for the horse who is left to find calmness, because that's how the separation anxiety starts. Like you are riding off and the horse who's left at home is then spinning around and, you know, being anxious, and then relaxes when the other horse comes back. So that's not something you want to repeat and to do over and over again, because it's only going to make the separation anxiety worse. But since it's easier to leave than to be left, I would then, you know, train the horse who now is anxious when left to be comfortable when alone. And never ever make the other horse the reason for finding calmness. So if you come from a riding trip and the other horse is upset in the stall or the paddock or whatever, make sure that you get the upset horse relaxed before reuniting them. But we have a whole unit about how to solve this, and the connection exercise actually seems to solve it quite well as well, because it will, in addition to building a connection with your horse, between you and your horse, it also teaches the horse to be able to find relaxation while standing on their own feet at a distance away from us, in a way. So they will kind of find some confidence. So separation anxiety can sometimes be a little bit like juvenile behavior in a way. Like, at least many of the horses I've had who has had separation anxiety, they are also a bit, so sometimes like in our space, but we need to teach them to find relaxation when standing on their own feet and then build on that. Yes. So just leaving them alone with the separation anxiety is probably going to make it worse. But solving it and building on confidence on being alone will initially make it possible for you to leave her. But I wouldn't start there. Yeah, that's like next level. Okay, but we have had members who have solved severe separation anxiety by just doing the connection exercise. So we don't necessarily need to do a lot, but, you know, be a little bit mindful of not creating it and knowing what to do when it pops up. And it, you know, it's not unnatural that horses have this separation anxiety, because they are, after all, herd animals, right? So this can, although we fixed it once, it might pop up again. But if we then know what to do, we can kind of kill it in the bud, which is easier than to try and solve it once it has become a habit. Okay, I hope this helps for this evening. And these are the last 2 days when it's actually possible to watch and join our workshop, which is on ridelikeaviking.no/liberty. And it will be open for a couple of more days. And this is also the last chance to join Ride Like a Viking members, which is also open just for a couple of more days. And you can join on ridelikeaviking.com/course. But I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen the workshop, then the workshop is going to give you, you know, this whole training system and how you can get started with your own horse. Or if you are a horse trainer, how you can get some tools that gives you more success and also makes horse training more fun and also safer. Yes, I hope this helps. And I also hope to see you on the inside of Ride Like a Viking members. If you haven't joined yet, then this is your chance. Okay, thank you so much for watching this evening, and bye for now.